2, 1, and we go live. We're going live. Right. Let's delete this. Boop, boop. Hello. Okay, so today we are studying some Java. So right now we are studying some JavaScript, and at the end of this class, we will build. And at the end of this class, we will build a blackjack game with JavaScript. Alright, so let's get into the class, right?
Okay, so we are ready to build the logic of our blackjack game. Now let's have a look at how blackjack works before we try to formulate this in JavaScript. So the point with blackjack is to get a hand that sums up to exactly 21. And if you don't get 21, at least you want to get as close to 21 as possible, but never above 21. Because if so, you're out of the game. So here are 3 scenarios. One where you have 2 cards on your hand, that's your starting hand, and they amount to 15. So you're still in the game. No big reason to either cry or celebrate. Then there's the other case where you have a king and an ace. And since the ace here equals 11, and the king equals 10, you've got blackjack. So, woohoo! And the third scenario, you started out with a 10 and a 6, then you asked for a new card, but damn, ended up at 22. So you're over 21 and sadly, you've lost your money. So now the question is, how do we translate these things into JavaScript? Sadly, JavaScript isn't as smart as you are, who can understand this by just hearing me talk about it.
Wait, I thought JavaScript is like really smart. Am I wrong? Python and JavaScript is probably like the smartest language, computer language. Maybe there's some other language that's like smarter, but I feel like out everything that I have learned, JavaScript and Python is probably like the smartest computer language.
JavaScript is kind of stupid, and it needs you to describe the logic.
Stop discriminating JavaScript, man. JavaScript is smart.
100% correct. So do that so you get to see it in action. Start off with writing if, and then open and close parentheses, and then it's the sum of our cards that we're going to check. Say if sum is less than 21, just like we were doing here. So this crocodile mouth is something you might recognize from your maths class at school, and it kind of makes sense because here on the right hand side you can see that's where the gap
is like basically
of the alligator.
This is basically Python. If else statements.
Is the largest. Whereas at the left hand side here, the gap between the teeth is the smallest. So small value here, large value here. If this condition is true, meaning that sum is less than 21, well then we add 2 curly brackets and tell JavaScript that we want to execute the piece of code inside of those curly brackets.
Okay.
Console log. Do you want to...
With Pythons, you don't have to do like brackets and like curly brace.
A new card. Since that's what you can do in this scenario, you are still in the game and you can draw another card if you want to. But there are cases where this isn't true. We need to account for those as well. We do that by writing else if and open and close parentheses. Here we write sum.
Why are you writing it on the same line?
21. This is else if sum equals 21.
Why is this guy writing it on the same line?
This code could be executed. This triple equal operator is different from this one right here. Here we are saying that we want the sum to come first card plus second card. Here we're asking, is the sum strictly equal to 21? And you say strictly equal when you see equal marks. And don't worry about why it's and not necessarily 2. We're going to get back to that later. For now on, just use strictly equal marks when you write else if statements where you are checking if a variable is exactly some kind of value. So if the sum is 21, what is the case then? Well, woohoo! Player has blackjack. So do all log. Got blackjack like that. third scenario, else if, yet again, sum. What do you think we'll use here? Of course, use this one right here. Because if the sum is larger than 21, then the user has lost. Sum is greater than 21.
So like a triple equal is the same as in JavaScript, is the same as double equals in Python?
Curly brackets.
This probably is. This probably is.
So log.
Let's watch it.
You're out of the game. Like that. Actually, let's add these emojis as well. There we go. Now, one little thing I want you to notice here is that here I have to use double quotes to wrap this, as I'm using single quotes to create this you've and your words. Because if I was using
That's smart.
single quotes here, it would be completely off, because JavaScript would have thought that I was intending to close off this string right here, when I'm not intending that. I was just writing you've instead of you have. So just a little digression there. Now let's run this code and see how it works. Run, and yes, we want to draw a new card. We triggered this. Correct, since 9 plus 6 is 15, and that is indeed less than 21. Let's try to do 10 and 11. Backjack. Yes. JavaScript triggered line 8, which is what we wanted.
Woohoo! You've got
Finally.
blackjack.
Let's say that we got 17 on the first two cards, and we really wanted a new card. We wanted to take the chance, but we bummed out by getting 6. If so, our sum would be 23, and what do you think will happen? Yes, this line of code should be run. I'm going to run the code, and boom, you're out of the game. Now,
Alright.
the final thing I want to tell you about before we move on is that we could actually skip all of this code if we wanted to, and do like that. Because if the sum is not less than 21, and it's not exactly 21 either, meaning we've jumped to the third clause in our if-else clause, then it must be over 21. I mean, there's no other alternative in the entire universe. So there's no point specifying that sum here should be over 21 for this block of code to be executed. Meaning we can just skip it. So we have if sum is less than 21, execute this. If sum is exactly 21, execute that. And in all other cases, execute this. This will work by running the code in the exact same way. Okay, now that you know that, let's move on.
Let's move on, my friend. Let's move on. Your first if-else statement. Alright. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Now it is your turn to write an if-else statement, or to check if a person is old enough to enter the nightclub.
Hey, I was about to think about this. Like, it should be like an app that like track people when they enter a club. Like under 21, you can't even go in. Well, that's just something that you have to keep in mind. It might be useful. If else, if less than 21, you cannot enter a club. Right? If the person is old enough and 21, log the suitable message. Right, alright. If open bracket age equal, is it strictly 21, right? 21 less than 21. Less than 21. Need some music. Let's see if anything will happen if I write it like this. Else. Welcome, my friend. Too lazy to do this. No, copy this. Boom. Run this, baby. Yeah.
club,
Save this.
which has a lower age limit at 21. And then you are to
21.
log a suitable message to the console in both cases. By that I mean if the user is less than 21 or if the user is 21 or older. So I've defined the age variable here and also written pseudocode. If less than 21, then a suitable message would be, for example, you cannot enter the club. Else, meaning all other cases, because if they're not less than 21, well, they have to be 21 or above. Then you are to log something like welcome. Go ahead and give this a shot. And if
Welcome,
you have
my
forgotten how
friend,
to
to
write
my
an if-else
club.
statement, just go back and rewatch the previous lesson. And notice here that I don't have an else if statement in between here. I only have the first if and the final
Because
else.
there are only
not
two
the
conditions.
else if which we had in the previous lesson. And that is because I want you to think for yourself and try to figure out, well, how do you write this with only an if and an else and not the if else in between? Just give it a shot and I will
Just
show you the solution. Well, when you return back to the screencast.
Alright,
Get 20 years old, and then
Yep,
down
yep.
because you can see we get you cannot enter the club.
Why he write it on the same line when he end where he end this? Is it like a JavaScript thing? Let me see. Oh shit, sorry guys. Conditional statement. In JavaScript, do they have like a thingy with like new lines? I don't know. Do they have like a... I hate new lines. Oh my god, they actually write it on the same line. Huh? What the hell? What the hell? What is this? Why are they writing the else when they end it with a curly braces with another statement? Why would they write like another statement right next to the end of another statement? Just write it like on a new line. Is it like a syntax if I write it on a new line? I don't know. It could be. Let me move this here. Oh boy.
Which obviously is wrong. They should be able to enter the club at this point. I'll keep in mind how that changes the entire expression.
Right.
With that, let's move on.
Wait, what did he write?
That you could also solve this by using another comparison operator.
Hey, come on.
Let's practice if-else statements a bit more. Because in Norway,
Harold.
we have this super cool tradition where when you reach 100 years old, you get a personal birthday card from the king. The king, King Harald V of Norway.
King
and in this
Harald
challenge,
V.
we are going to code logic for this. So here it is in pseudocode. If less than 100, and here I'm talking about the age variable, of course, then you are to log something like not eligible to the console. Else, if the age variable is exactly 100, you're to log something like here is your birthday card from the king. And else, in all other cases, meaning they're over 100 years old, you get not eligible. You have already gotten one, because if they're 105 years old, they got their birthday card from the king 5 years ago. Okay, go ahead and give this one a shot, and then I will show you the solution afterwards as well.
Alright, my friend. Let me write this.
Okay,
Let me move this wire here, and then we are okay. If H. This is really easy stuff. Fundamentals. Less than 100. And bada bing, bada boom. Console. Log. Not eligible, my friend. Not eligible. You are not eligible to get the card from the king. No. As if I don't know. I got used to the way how how Python is written with condition statements. So I will stick with it. Stick my logic into it. Exactly the same. Age. Is it like a? Let me check. Equal versus equal. Equal in JavaScript is used for comparing two variables, but it ignores the data type of the variable. Is equal is used for comparing two variables, but this operator also check data type and compare two values. What the hell? It's used for assigning a value to a variable. What is data type? Oh, so like a string. Ignore the data type. Oh, so if like double quote 21 double quote, is it equal? If equal to 21, if I think is look like this. If equal is assigning, it is already, yeah, it's already there. You already know it. So let's say age is, instead of this, you write as a string. No, you write as yeah, it's as a string where you put double this 100, right? And then if, and then you write is age equal to 100. It will be ignore the data type. So it's going to be true for this and false for this. If you use triple equal, and I think that's how it works, right? And if you, this will go into true. This will be true. Let's say just this, right? And then if you age equal 100, this will be false because it's different data type. This is a string, this is an integer, it's a number basically. Yeah, so that's how I think of it, like that. Maybe I'm don't trust me, I'm a fucking beginner. I'm a beginner, so I might be so wrong that I don't even know. Hey, here's your birthday. Birthday from the king. Here's your birthday card from the king. Right. Strictly equal to 100. Else, it console log. Not eligible, my friend. You are not eligible. You cannot receive more than 2 letters from the king. And let's run this. Yeah, let's go. All right, let's go. We're done.
Age, else, if are not overtime. So double equals ignores the fact that this is a string and
yes.
this is a number.
See?
Basically converts this into a number if it's a number on the left-hand side as well, so that this entire thing would be true. However, that's not what we want. We actually want to be strict in our code, which is why I would recommend you to only use triple equals. Ignore double equals. This for down in the conditional. That's just, with that, let's move on.
Let's move on, my friend. Move on. Right. We have another exercise.
Okay, so now we're back at
First
our blackjack game, and you might have noticed that we've lost the code that we previously had. Well, that's the point of Scrimba. You are going to write the code, not me. So I want you to rewrite the conditional that I created previously, but with a slightly different take. You have to follow the logic that I lay out in the pseudocode here. You have to use in the first if clause less than or equal to operator. You have to set it to less than or equal to 20. And then in the else if clause, use the strictly equal to check if the sum is exactly 21. And finally, you are going to use the else clause and not an else if on the third conditional, which I did previously. So go ahead and do this, and if you can't do it or want to see my solution, just return.
This is easy. When you focus, this stuff like extremely easy. I feel like when I'm not focused, this stuff is like someone barking at me, and I don't understand dogs. So I'm not comparing the teacher to the dog, but like it's basically like a human listening to a dog talking. Yeah, that's why. I hate it when I'm not focused. Less than or equal to 20. Do you want to draw a new card? Console. Do you want to draw a new card, my friend? No, I don't want it, my friend. Else. Left. Left. Exactly 21. Equal. 21. Woohoo! You got a blackjack! Jesus. Stop this. You're out of the game. Sorry, my friend, you're out of the game. Right. All this stuff. Very fundamentals. Do you want to draw a new card?
Back to this screencast, and I will show you how to do it as well. Good luck. There's all 17 here, and we start off. Okay, so our game is coming along really nicely here. However, there's a big problem. That is, let's say that you are playing this game and you get...
Hey guys, if you guys want to learn JavaScript, I highly recommend you Scrimba. I actually found it on YouTube. I watched a video and then like it's just too good. It's really interactive and it's, how can I say it? It's fun because you do it at the same time you learn it. So you don't want to forget anything and you can practice this more. So I highly recommend Scrimba. If you want to go into a front end like job, Scrimba teach you anything about front end, a lot of things about front end.
Get blackjack.
So yeah,
get a 10 and an 8.
Visit the website out at scrimba.com. scrimba.com.
And boom, got blackjack. Down here at line 13, you of course want to cash out your money and get the pot on the table. However, at this point, down on line 13, JavaScript has no way of knowing which console log it logged out. It doesn't remember that. So what we need to do then is introduce a new variable that keeps track of this state, the state of the game. Like, has the user gotten blackjack, or maybe has the user lost, or whatever it is. So what we then want to do is, for this scenario, have a variable that reflects whether or not the player has blackjack. And when I say whether or not, yes or no, is there a data type in JavaScript that you think might be suitable for describing such a state? If you guessed a boolean, a true or false, that is correct. So what we'll do is we'll do set has blackjack like that, and set that initial value, of course, to false, because default you don't have blackjack. And here inside of the else if clause that describes the blackjack case, we're simply going to reassign the has blackjack value to true instead. Now, down at line 16, if we log this out as blackjack value and then run this code, boom, you can see that we're both logging out on line 9 and we have persisted the state. So that line 16, for example, can start writing the code for taking the cash that's on the table that now is rightfully yours and then deposit it into your account. So now we have an app that keeps track of the data, of the state, in a much more sensible way. Now I want you, of course, to write this kind of logic yourself. So in the next cast, I'm going to give you another challenge so that we can keep track of even more of the state of this game. I'll see you there.
I like it.
Okay, so now it's your turn, and you are going to make the state of our game a little bit more robust. Because at this point, we're only tracking if the player actually gets blackjack. If the player busts out and gets 22 or more, we're not tracking it. And obviously, we have to do that. So I want you to create a variable called isAlive, and start by assigning it to true, and then you're going to flip that value to false inside of the appropriate code block. So there's 3 code blocks: if block, else if block, and the else block. And you of course then have to pick the correct code block and then write that line of code that flips the value to false. Finally, log it out to check that you're doing everything correctly.
Alright.
So good luck, go ahead and do this,
This is-
and then I will show you the solution afterwards as well.
This is easy. What happened to my... Why? This is so annoying. It's alive. It's too true. It's a boolean. And if they out of the game, then they are shit. And is alive is equal to false. Right now, if you are, let's check this and plus 1 1 and then 4. No, you out of the game, my friend. Console dot log. Oh, it's alive. Yeah, so it's run this and then it check, oh, false, and then it's another one. Yeah, pretty much it. You can call this, nah, let's not call that.
Alive, console, false, no longer alive.
Boolean, easy.
Now that you've learned about booleans, let's take a look back at the conditional you wrote. Because one thing you probably didn't think too much about when you wrote your conditionals is that the expressions inside of the parentheses would be translated by JavaScript eventually into a boolean. It would be either true or false. That's always the case with expressions passed into conditionals. Because here we are comparing 2 numbers, and one of them are either larger than the other or they are 2 equal numbers. So the claim you come with has to be either true or false. Let's try to play this out using an example. For example, when you've gotten 2 cards, a 10 and an 11, meaning you have blackjack, in that case, sum will be 21. And the claim you come with inside of the first if statement, obviously that is I, meaning it gets evaluated to false. In the second condition, though, you're saying that sum is equal to 21. No, we are going to translate sum into 21 because that's what it is. Here you're saying 21 triple equals 21. Well, yes, that is a true statement, so that becomes the true boolean. And here, read through it. If false, well, this statement, else if true, yes, we like true, then we are going to execute that piece of code. So this is essentially what happens when you run the code with specific values for the variables. Rewinding it back, what I want to do now is stress test your comparison and Boolean skills. So I'm going to paste in a bunch of console logs here and then comment out our blackjack game. Now your job is to look at each of these expressions and predict whether true or false is logged to the console. So write either true or false after these two slashes on each of the lines from 1 to 7. And then, of course, when you've given it a shot, run the code and see how it went. And then I will do the same thing afterwards as well. Go ahead and do this right now.
All right. False. True. This is a false. This is a false. This is a true. True. And false. Let's run this. Huh? Console. False, true, false, false, true, true. I'm always right. This stuff easy. Yep. Add the message variable.
Welcome back, my friend. I hope you are ready for a new challenge. That is exactly what I have in store for you now. Actually, it's a 3-part challenge, because you are going to make our program a little bit more robust in the sense that it might be that these console logs here that we're just throwing out into the void, logging to the console and forgetting all about, can be used later on down the line, or that we, of some reason, want to keep track of them. Maybe we want to render it out multiple locations in the app. Maybe there's a notification, and there's text, there's a log of messages you've gotten. Maybe we want to repeat it. I don't know. There's tons of reasons for keeping this data and very few reasons for just logging it out. We want to keep it in a variable, just like we've done here with the has blackjack and is alive. So your 3-part challenge is to first declare a variable called message, then assign its value to an empty string, and then you are going to reassign the message variable to the string we're logging out. Notice here that I'm using some fancy words, like I'm saying here instead of a variable, I'm saying assign instead of set its value. That's because I think you now are ready to hear some of these fancy JavaScript words, because there are subtle differences between words. Like here we are actually declaring the variable. Then we are assigning it when we set the value to true. This is, after all, called the assignment operator in JavaScript. Then, naturally so, when we change a variable or assign it yet again, we assign it. So I just want to use the correct terminology here. But I think it's important that you don't get put off by all of these words and think that you have to remember them all. You do not. Perfectly fine to talk about this using your own words. Create, change, set the value, whatever. I just want you to also be exposed to the technically correct ways of expressing it. Anyway, enough talk. As I said, step 2, you are going to reassign message variable to the string that we're logging out. I don't want any more console logs inside of these 3 code blocks, because the only code block is one you're going to create in part 3 of the challenge when you are going to log out the message variable. So go ahead and give this your best shot.
Wait, what? What are we supposed to do? Huh? Declare? Yeah. Let message equal to an empty string, right? And then oh, so he basically want this like this. Message equal this. My right. Then console, log message. Is it like that? Ah, okay. Got it.
Turn back to this.
I will think I
Last
will
one I
end
wanna
it
see in my
after this
solution.
lesson. I'm quite tired.
With mess about reaching this far.
Yeah, basically the same. Link to style sheet. We will continue tomorrow. Yeah, let's end it here. Stream health. Oh my god, we have stream health. Alright. See you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow we will finish the blackjack game. And then yeah. See you guys tomorrow. See you tomorrow.